So I asked you all on TikTok and YouTube to give me your wrestling hot takes, and I got some very, very interesting ones. They're all on TikTok, so it seems like TikTok's the place to be. Come on, step it up, YouTube guys. But I'm going to go through as many as humanly possible, and I'm going to give my thoughts on them. So we start off with Xavier Woods should have a title run. I agree. I agree. It's so deserved. Xavier Woods is so good, and I think giving him a run with maybe the Intercontinental, maybe the United States Championship, I think is more than deserved, honestly, for how good he is and for how arguably underrated that man is. WWE is the best it's ever been in terms of both in-ring ability and storytelling. Their move to more sports-based storytelling is refreshing. I have to agree, as someone who didn't grow up watching the Attitude Era, I don't have that pre-existing bias of Attitude Era is above all in terms of wrestling and storytelling. But genuinely, right now, at this stage of the game, from what I've seen, WWE has never been better. And I think it shows in the programming, in the week to week. It's refreshing. It's really refreshing. Okay, here is a spicy one already. Bret Hart is a massively overrated wrestler and honestly doesn't even make a top 10 of greatest of all time, let alone a top 4. And then goes on to say the Harts are all awful wrestlers. Now, I will like to point out that there is a bit of clarity. The person did say at least Owen Hart was okay. They just can't stand Bret or Natalya more than anything else. I don't feel like I'm the guy that can give an opinion on this fully. I think Bret Hart is okay. I think Bret Hart's good. Do I think he's top 10 from what I've seen? No. Do I think he's massively overrated? I think in modern day, I think a lot of people put him rightly where he is. So I wouldn't necessarily say that he's massively overrated. He was maybe a while ago, but I think people are starting to realize how good Bret is, and I think they're rating him accordingly. But it's an interesting take, that one. I'll keep it real. Rhea Ripley should hold the belt for at least another year. There isn't another female superstar who matches her momentum or star power at the moment. Mad agree. Mad agree. I'm gonna keep it stacked with you. Becky Lynch should not beat Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. Just gonna put it out there. Shouldn't be happening. I really don't want it to happen. I think Rhea is at a level of her own at the moment, and it's refreshing to see that sort of new character come in. Well, I say new character, Rhea's been on the main roster for ages, but like this new wrestler that is now a step above the 4 Horsewomen, which is something that we haven't seen in the women's division for so long, I think. WWE needs to stop adding DLC. So this is a 2K question, 2K hot take. Yeah, yes and no. Because knowing 2K, they get rid of DLC, it officially becomes a service game, a live service game. And they suck. But that's never gonna work. A live service game for a wrestling game would be so bad. It'd be so bad, and I don't even think it's a timeline that I even want to think about, to be honest. Oh, okay, so this one actually sparked a whole debate and talk in the TikTok comments. Cody shouldn't finish his story. It should be someone who would become a star, not someone who already is. I mean, like, I think a while ago, I would have agreed, because I would have said that Roman Reigns' run needs to end at the hands of someone who could benefit really well from winning the championship and beating Roman. But we're now at the stage where I don't think it matters who beats Roman at this point. I think people just want Roman to no longer be champion and maybe to go away for a while. You know, absence makes the heart grow fonder and all that. So I don't think necessarily building somebody else up to beat Roman that isn't already established. I don't think that's the goal anymore. I'm gonna say I don't agree. I think Cody should finish his story, because if he doesn't do it now, when is he going to? I don't really see it happening any other time. Roman Reigns' championship reign has been meh. Like, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of good defenses, but there was also a lot of forgettable ones. That's just factual. Like, early Roman, early Tribal Chief stuff was untouchable. Genuinely, Roman was cooking at that point. But I don't necessarily think that he is at that level anymore. Not because he couldn't be at that level, but because the story and everything has just kind of hit a bit of a nosedive, and now it's not as impactful anymore. So I think a lot of the defenses are also just forgettable, because we all knew Roman was going to win those defenses. So I have to kind of agree, but I would just say that's factual. Becky Lynch is overrated. Yesn't. This is coming from somebody who has been a fan of Becky Lynch since I started watching WWE. Bear in mind, I started watching WWE in 2016. I've been watching wrestling for 13 years at this point. So, as someone who's been a fan of Becky Lynch since 2016, you know, the early SmackDown days, she is not overrated. I think she has deserved everything that she has gotten. I just think the writing and the character work recently and the oversaturation of big-time Becks has kind of ruined Becky Lynch to a lot of people. So, I don't agree with that one, personally, but, you know. A part-time world champion makes the title even more desirable. A full-time world champ gets boring and stale within months. This is tricky, because I do like part-time world champions. I think that when they're booked well, absolutely. But when they're legitimately gone for like 3-4 months and we don't get any storyline apart from just a random like number one contenders match, I ain't about that life, and I don't see how that makes a good story personally. I think that full-time world champions are only stale because the writing makes them stale. A lot of the two that were mentioned here, Seth, MJF, etc., both of them started having babyface runs as world champion, and I just don't think companies, and this is my hot take here, I don't think wrestling companies know how to book babyface world champions. At least not long term. Yeah, I said it. I went out and said it. I think it's an interesting take, but I don't know if I could agree. The Judgment Day's tag reign is an absolute joke. Their reign is already being pushed on so much, and it should be dropped. I mean, we're so close to Mania. Like, I agree, I think they should have lost at Elimination Chamber, personally. I'm a big fan of the New Catch Republic, aka British Strong Style, so I would have loved to have seen them win the tag belts at Elimination Chamber, but, yeah, it was never going to happen. I think that this is a decent take, but I don't necessarily see them being dropped. I think there was something about the tag titles on SmackDown. I need to go back and actually watch that, but something about the tag titles is happening soon, so we will see on that one. But I don't think I could sit here and fully agree with that, when I think we're so close to the end of the Judgment Day's title reign anyway, where it's like, look, you might not have enjoyed it, but it's gonna end soon anyway, so, you know. Now, this one, I'm really, really interested in the sense that I personally don't know that much about this guy, so it's gonna be a weird one. Tama Tonga will be a star in WWE and will be on the same level as an AJ Styles. I don't know, I feel like AJ Styles was like a once in a, like, I'll keep it real, AJ Styles going to WWE and getting that sort of treatment, we haven't seen that again since Cody Rhodes. I could be completely wrong. Someone might go, oh, but this person. But genuinely, in terms of like how big Styles was presented when he came into WWE, can be so comparable to how Cody's being presented in WWE when he came back. I don't see them rolling out the red carpet for Tama Tonga. I think he'll be a big deal in NXT. Will he be a star in WWE eventually? That really just all depends. Like, anyone can be a star in the WWE. It really all depends on what they give them and if they're able to do what they're being given. And if they can break out. This is also a big thing. Bianca Belair is overrated. She wrestled 2 good matches, and both at WrestleMania, but she's not as good as people claim. No, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to say no on that one. Bianca Belair is really, really good to me. I think she's genuinely probably one of the most solid women that they have on the roster. Solid as in, you know, do I look at Bianca Belair matches and go, these will be absolute bangers? Not all the time, but I know that she'll at least put on a solid performance and, you know, all of that. Again, I think what people are forgetting is there is a difference between overrated and oversaturated, and that's a big thing. The people said it with Becky Lynch earlier. Someone said Becky Lynch was overrated, she was oversaturated. And now people are saying Bianca Belair is overrated when she was oversaturated for ages. I think that's a big thing that some wrestling fans need to differentiate, is the difference between overrated and oversaturated. But, you know, then we have a couple more. I think there's one more, but I can't find it, so I'll see if I can find it. But I low-key can't think of any way to sugarcoat this, but damn, Kevin Nash is the most overrated wrestler I've ever seen in my fucking life, man. Again, this is really difficult, because I can't really say anything, because the only time I've actually really properly seen a Kevin Nash run, like, fully, is when I went back and watched some old TNA, and I don't really think you can necessarily even consider that a full-blown run for Kevin Nash. So I'm gonna say I don't think I've ever looked at Kevin Nash and thought this was the guy. Most overrated wrestler, and I don't know if he's like the most overrated, but definitely not one of those guys that I think I've ever really seen anything crazy in. I've always hated the New Day. When they do the New Day Rocks clap, in my head, it's fuck right off. I love the New Day. I do. They're like some of the guys that got me into WWE, so I don't think I could sit here in good conscience and say that I agree with that take. I think the New Day are great, but I can understand why some people might have thought that their shtick was annoying. But if it was the old school New Day, guess what? Guess what? You're being worked. They were meant to be annoying back in the day. Oh, there was one. I want to say it word for word, but if I can't find the actual comment, I'll just try and paraphrase it, and then I'll probably leave a full-blown version of it in here. But it was something about, like, Liv Morgan is overrated or something, and she's, like, the most boring wrestler or something like that. I just think the face Liv Morgan is a little bit generic. I'll say it. I think she's a little bit on the generic side as just a white meat baby face. I think that if they just made her a face that was just a dick, then I think people would like her more. Because I think people really like... There's a really weird category where it's just faces that are dicks, but you still like them anyway. Which is kind of where MJF is, I would argue, is a face who's a dickhead, but you still like him anyway. And I think that works. I think that would work for Liv Morgan. So maybe if they did that, maybe it would change your mind. I don't know. But those were the hot takes. I guess we can keep the train going. If you want to leave some in the comments of this video, let me know. Like, let me know your hot takes. Because, hey man, TikTok were absolutely beating YouTube in terms of comments. I don't think I got a single comment on the YouTube shorts. So YouTube guys, now's your time. If you got a hot take, drop it in the comments below, and I will see you all next time.